Hello and welcome back to screenbook.com. In this lecture, we're going to learn about collections. So what is collections then? Collection is a group of individual objects represented as a single unit. So what is collections in Java then? Java provides collection framework which defines several classes and interfaces to represent a group of objects as a single unit, right? So basically what that means is Java also has a collection framework, right? It provides the collection framework which has several classes and interfaces from which you could create a group of objects such as list, set, map, and so on, right? So collection interface javautil.collection and map interface javautil.map are two main root interfaces of Java collection classes. The Java collection classes have two main root interfaces, right? We learned about what interfaces is, right? javautil.map, javautil.collection. Collection provides consistent API, as API has a set of interfaces like collection, set, list, or API. The other advantage of using collection is it has an API, which means application program interface, from where you could use a lot of interfaces like collection, set, list, or map, right? Collections reduces programming effort as it eliminates headache of design of collection, and also increases speed and quality, providing high performance. So let's say, for instance, the reason why we use collections is because with array, right? So we know what array is, right? And we also created some array in our previous lectures. But with array, once in the runtime, you will not be able to add elements in an array or remove the elements from an array. So that is the kind of constraint from using an array. Also, it's very super slow. If there's millions of data and you're using an array, it's going to be really, really slow. However, if you use collections, it increases speed and the quality is a lot faster and more high quality than the array. So now let's talk about the list, right? So what is list? List is an ordered collection of objects in which duplicate values can be stored. It means that list is basically a collection, right, where you can store n number of elements and they can be duplicate values as well. List allows positional access and insertion of elements. Okay, so you can add elements inside the list. So list is a tile interface of collections. So list interface is implemented by array list, linked list, vector, and stack classes. So basically, array list, linked list, and vector and stack is using this list interface, implements this list interface, right? And let's say how we could create an array list. You do list a1 equal new array list, right? List a2 equal new linked list, because this list interface is implemented by this one, so you can actually use that, right? So list a3 equal new vector. That's how you can create a vector. Okay, so now as you know that ArrayList implements the list, so let's learn about what ArrayList is. ArrayList uses a dynamic array for storing the elements, right? That's why we use ArrayList instead of an array, because ArrayList is very dynamic, right? It inherits abstract list class and implements the list interface. ArrayList can contain duplicate elements. ArrayList maintains insertion order. What that means is with ArrayList you can have a duplicate element. Non-generic array list can contain any type of object. So you have two types of array list. You have a non-generic, which means it can contain any object, string, integer, double, boolean, and so on, right? With generic array list, you can actually constrain, right? You can actually force the user to only have the objects with certain data types. So let's say you create a generic array list of string, right? That means you would only can have string values inside that array list. List elements can be traversed using iterator interface or by for each loop. So you can actually go through the array list using an iterator interface or by using for each loop. Let's say how you can actually create a new array list, right? So like we saw before, we could do list1 equal new array list, and if you want to create a new non-generic, you can also do array list1 new array list. With the generic one, right? So look at the syntax difference here. You have array list, and in here you have this string in here, and I've named it list2, and you have new array list and a string here. So what basically you're doing is like you're saying, hey, this list2 only contains string variables or string values. Okay, you cannot put anything other than the string. So you're actually forcing the users to only have the string values in this array list 2. Let's say, for instance, I'll give you an example in here. So I've got this array list. So here I'm creating a non-generic array list that contain any object. So I could create a list array list1 equal new array list. So I can add element string here. Element1 add 1, and I added, and the index 2, I added 5.24. So if I do print, I can print out array list 1, I can remove the 0th index, right? At element at 0, I'm actually removing the element in 0 here, and actually printing out the array list. So let's see what happens. So if I do that, I get element 1, then 1, then you do have 5.24, right? So now I remove at index 0. So index 0 was element 1, so now you only have 1 and 5.24. So now, generic array list that can contain only one object, right? So I got list, array list 2, and equal new array list, right? So here I'm actually saying that string, explicitly say that, okay, I need a string in here. So here I'm saying element 1, and I do add element 2 in here. So I can do element 1 and element 2. If I print out, I get element 1, element 2. I remove index at 0, so now I get element 2. Same thing, you can also create a generic array list with using array lists, and you just implicitly provide here string, explicitly provide string in here, array list 3, new array list. Just like in this 2, you can add string 1, string 2, array list 3, you remove element at 0, and you print out the end. You're going to get string 1, string 2, string 2. Now we've got this collections folder. I'm actually going to create a class in here. I'm going to call it array list example. So here we're going to create our static class here, static void main string args. Alright, so in here I'm actually going to create array list 1 equal new array list array list that. So now when what it's saying is that, okay, I don't recognize the list and array list. But whatever our Java 9 that we installed, it's not recognizing list and array list, right? So in that case, you actually have to import the package for list and array list. So how do you do that? Well, you can actually do that using import, right? And you do java.util.arraylist. That, so now it's now more red. So I also need to import java.util.list. So now you can see here it's all green now. So I'm going to add ArrayList1.add. I'm going to add string 1, and I'm going to do ArrayList1.add. I'm going to add 2 here. ArrayList1.add here. I'm going to say false. Print out this array list in here. Now if I run this, it's going to say string 1, 2, and false, right? This is non-generic array list. Because here, what I'm saying is that I'm not implicitly saying that, okay, I just need a string, or I need an integer, I need a boolean, right? I'm actually saying, okay, I'm creating a list with new array list, and I'm adding this string 2, add this 2, and false. Now I can also remove on index. So if I do remove, so I've got all this method here, right? So this is over, you know this too, remove object O and index. So this is overloaded method, right? Because I can use any data type here. So here I'm actually going to say 0, and so with the remove, so I'm just going to do remove, and in here, so if I do remove, right, you can see 2 methods in here. So object O or index. So I'm actually going to do with index. So I'm actually going to do the first one, and let's run this, and also print the array list back. So if I run this, I'm actually going to get first, right? So first thing I did, I created an array list, right? Then I added string 1, added 2, integer 2, and I added boolean value false. When I print it out, I got string 1, 2, and false. Then I'm actually removing the first element. How do I do that? With the index, right? So dot remove, and this is a 0. Removed it. Now I only have true and false, right? So that's how you can actually create a non-generic array list. So there's another way to also create a non-generic. Instead of list, you can do this one as well. So you can just do array list, which is kind of the same thing, because the array list implements the list interfaces. So you can do this way as well. Alright, so I'm going to do string 2, say 3, and let's make this true, and run it. And you can see here I got string 2, 3, true, and I'm actually, oops, I need to put 2 here, and let's run it again. And you can see here, string 2, 3 true, and the first one was index 0 is string 2. Since it's removed and I printed out, I got only 3 and true. That's how you can actually create a non-generic array list. Let's create a generic array list. Alright, so how do you do that, right? So I'm actually going to copy this one here to make it a lot easier. Then paste it here, and in here, what I'm basically going to do is I'm just going to say string 3 new array list. I'm going to put string in here. I'm going to do 3 add 3 3. So as soon as I do add 2, right, it's saying here, now if you look into this error, it's saying change variable type to Java to that list or string.wrap using it. Because what it's saying is this, I specifically say I want this list, okay, this is an array list with string data type. So it's saying, okay, I'm creating a list, array list 3, and I only need a string. This array list 3 can only have string. So how do I do that? I do list, and in here with the smaller than and greater than, you could provide string in here, and new array list, and same thing here. Then you do close parenthesis in here. Now I can only add string here. I'm going to do string 2 and string 3. So I'm going to do 3, 3, 3. Now run it. Now I got string 1, 2, and 3. Remove that 0. I got a string 2 and 3. So that's how you can actually create a generic array list. So the other way you would see is to do array list in here instead of list. So in real time, you would see to create some people creating the generic array list using list, string, and array list with new array list. You can also see array list with this array list, new array list. So you can do both ways because array list implements the list. Okay, so you can do both ways. So now I have string 1, 2, and 3 again here, and string 2 and 3. Okay, actually make it that's 4, 5, and 6, so you'd see more clear. Let's run it again. And now here, right? So string 1, 2 false was the array list, non-generic. I removed 1, 0 index. I got 2 false. String 2, 3 again with the using array list class. I got 3 and true. Then I created a generic array list, okay, with string, and I got string 1, 2, and 3, string 2, 3. Then I created a generic array list 4, and I added 4, 5, 6, string 5, and 6. Okay, let's create another generic array list with a data type. I would say double. Okay, and in here let's just do double. Alright, so in here I'm actually going to do 5 and 5, 5, 5. As you can see here, right, this is only a double, so it does not accept string. I'm going to do 2.22, 1, and 4.51, 9.876, blah blah blah. So 5, just make it 5, 5. Okay, so now I can have 2.21, 4.51, 86, and I remove 0 index, 4.151, and 9.876. Alright, so that is the array list, right? That's pretty much about what array list is, right? Compared to array, it has a lot of different methods that you can use from the array list class, right? So, and also you can also explicitly say, okay, this array list only contains this data type, as you could show an example in here, right? That is why what we use a lot of the array list instead of an array, right? We make a use of a collection framework. Okay, so that's it for this lecture. I will see you guys in our next lecture.